Hi, guys. Welcome to Weekly Travel Updates. It is President's Day. Most everybody had the day off. I took most of the day off. I did prepare for this tonight. And boy, just today, like this afternoon, the Eiffel Tower announced it was closed for maintenance. Actually, it's a problem with the expenses to the maintenance company that's shutting it down. It'll be open soon. Strikes and delays are not uncommon like that. Well, we had Valentine's Day this week, and I heard a cute joke. What did Cupid fly on to get to his girlfriend? I'll tell you later on. Okay. This week has been just another week of catastrophes. First, the Nino Storm that caused all the problems in LA not 2 weeks ago started again this afternoon at 3 o'clock. They're expecting heavy rains, and you can see trees that have come down across the roads, not unlike what we would see if we had torrential rains and we're in that type of climate. Anyway, pray for them. I have friends on the road tomorrow, and it's not a fun place to be. The freeways are not a fun place to be if there's not rain, but when there's rain, it's really not fun. Okay, and then for the third time in 2 months, the volcano in Iceland has erupted. And this time, guys, it is serious. The evacuation story that I heard was mind-blowing. They had this bucket list trip to Iceland. It is in the peak of season to see the northern lights right now. And what I could see from the footage, it looks like the lava is headed for Blue Lagoon. It's definitely in the area. It crossed over the road. One of the biggest challenges is that when it crossed over their freeway, it is headed towards a thermal power plant. It's also very, very close to their hot water piping, and their hot water piping feeds over 24,000 Icelandic residents. So think about them, and be thankful that we're not in either of those places today. It's Grenoble with 4,000 residents that had to be evacuated back in November. They've never been able to go back to their homes because the lava that is flowing under the ground is so unstable that they fear it could crack. It could open up and suck a car in, or worse. Anyway, the magma that's still running underground is what they are fearful with their water supplies. So it is something that hasn't happened in 800 years until it happened just a few years ago. And it's since the trigger of 2018 that it has continuously had seismic actions. So think about those people. When I was in Las Vegas in November for the travel show, the buzzword this year is exploration. And I mean, you could explore anything, anywhere. If you wanted to know where you could go quilting in Scandinavia, I could find you a tour. It's gotten that specific. But the archaeological digs are booming. And just this week alone, there's 2 new sites. And the one in Greece, I'll show you pictures of in a moment. But the one in Greece, it is right next to a temple, and it is an underground temple. And they have found all kinds of artifacts, coins and statues and paintings, hieroglyphics. So stay tuned for that. And then this one is kind of weird. I watched several YouTubes and dug into this a bit because this is kind of weird. In Mexico, there is an underground tunnel city that has been discovered. Now, there are several of these. When I went back to look for more information about the most recent one, which was just weeks ago, I could find one that was very similar to this in 2017. There was another in 2020. There was another in 2013. So what I'm going to play this video for you because it can explain it better than me. But where this came about was one of the archaeologists found and discovered a hidden door, and it goes underground. And local folklore says that when missionaries came there, that they sealed it up because it was the entrance to the dark world, to the underworld. And when they got underneath it, and that you'll have to go look at some of these YouTubes, it's wild. When they got underneath it, there are places that look like they could be sacrificial designated places. Definitely it looks dark, it feels dark. I don't know, there's a lot of Hispanic folklore about the Day of the Dead, and these tunnels were proclaimed to be part of that society. Okay. The State Department has had us crazy busy worried about where we can go and what we can do. And all the cruise ships that go to the Bahamas. So NASA has really reached out and said, hey guys, let us tell you where it is safe. It is safe at the Atlantis. The Atlantis is a private beach area, they have security. And if you went to the Atlantis and you stayed along the beach there, you'd be fine. Another place is the Balmar area. It is like a gated community. It has 3 properties in it, and probably most notably, it's known for, it has a day pass that you could go to for $100 a person off of the cruise ships. And it is one of the best values if you just want to spend a day on a beach. Safe, clean, palm trees, sidewalks, restaurants, stores, all safe. And then the next place would be Sandals. There are 2 Sandals properties in the Bahamas. And the Bahamas is 700 islands. So we're most familiar with Nassau and Freeport. In Nassau, Paradise Island, which is where the Atlantis is just a bridge away. Or in Freeport, also known as Grand Bahama Island, that has historically been probably the most traveled until the cruise lines really blew Nassau. So now what they want us to know is that there is safety at these westernized hotels where you would expect it. The Riu is right next to the Atlantis. That's an all-inclusive property. And if you wanted to go into the Atlantis for the pools and the excursions, it's not cheap. It's $195 for the day, whether you get off the cruise ship and go, or whether you're on the island and want to come experience the beach and the 7 pools. And I started to say all that it has to offer, but that's not even true. The dolphin experience, an additional $200 per person. The water slide and water park is an additional. One of the things is, if you're getting off a ship or if you're going to one of these endorsed properties of safety, then some of the excursions that you could feel safe at would be some of the boat excursions. Again, whether you're on a ship or whether you're staying somewhere on the island, because they're certified, they're watched. There's typically a large group of people, well, 12 to 22. And there's lots of variety. Again, probably the least expensive that was still on the list was $119 for 3 hours, a 3-hour tour. And that was island escape boats. With the, oh wait, there's one more new one that I have not seen, but I'm dying to see it because I didn't know it had become an adults only all-inclusive, and that's the Warwick, WARICK. The Warwick was a boutique style property, and now it looks like they're counting as adults only and all-inclusive. I am anxious to check that out. And if you stayed at one of these properties, you can take a taxi down into town for about $30 each way. You can also get the Jetney, which is their small buses. They're a little bit bigger than a minivan, not nearly as big as what we see like an airport shuttle, not that big. It's still like a van size, but it seats maybe 18 or 20 people. Anyway, the Jetneys run all around town, and they're $10 to get on. So in speaking about safe places to go, one of the duties that I have is to tell you how you can stay safe. So one of the certification courses that I listened to this week named several ways in light of the recent, mainly Caribbean disturbances that we're putting up with. And one is we get off ships or we go shopping. That's probably one of the biggest things that people do. And when you walk out of that expensive jewelry store, don't carry the bag. Particularly if it's the Rolex store down on Bay Street. Don't do that. That was one of the things that police advised. They see you walk out of an expensive store, you have the bag in hand, it's a snatch and run, and they know you're on a cruise ship and you're going to be gone by the night. There's no chance you're going to get that back. Another thing was to particularly walk in the tourist area. You know, what caused this threat level for the Bahamas is on the over the hill, about a half a mile away from the cruise port. And it's in a block, an area of Nassau, and it's where the gang turfs are. And these killings have been through 2 gang members. There haven't been any tourists killed. But in fairness, I want you to be safe if you'd consider traveling. And these things fit for anywhere. Another thing was being careful that you don't look too flashy. You don't look like you're, a wealthy tourist, because that's what they're looking for. You see girls now that dress provocatively. Some of them are the same ones that unfortunately are getting into trouble, like drinks spiked. they get friendly with the bar staff and they say, oh, come with us. We're going to an after hours party. Or, hey, come with us. We know a private beach we can take you to. Don't ever do that. It sounds fun. And unfortunately, we live in a country where our culture finds that a little more accepting, but for sure not now, not in the Bahamas. Ladies, be careful. Watch your drinks. I'm sure that you saw, and I think I mentioned it 2 weeks ago, where 2 girls in Freeport had their drinks spiked at a day pass resort, meaning it has all of your food and beverages included. And they didn't press charges against these guys because the police, well, the story was that the authorities advised them that it would take several hours and they might run the risk of missing their ship. And they didn't have a passport and they couldn't afford to miss their ship. So what did they do? They walked away being assaulted, and that's terrible. That's just terrible. Another thing that was really stood out was rental vehicles. You know that if you're in a rental vehicle, they know you're a tourist. So be careful. Sure, it's fun to rent a car. I'll never forget the first time I went to Cozumel, we rented a Jeep, drove all over the island, got stuck one time in the sand. It was a blast. Just be aware that if you're in a rental car, you have tourists across your forehead. So it's just one thing to consider. All right. Okay, one of the very best places for your money was a neck wallet. I read several studies. If you have a backpack, if they want it bad enough, it's just pulled right off of your shoulder, or they come by with what we would use to cut a seatbelt and cut a strap so that it's free for them to grab and run. Same thing with fanny packs. Same thing with crossbodies, unless you're holding your crossbody. Like I've talked to several ladies. When I go shopping, I have my hand down here on my crossbody, right on the middle of it. So I'll be able to feel if it moves. And I have my thumb through the loop of it. They would really have to jerk it to get away from me. But on the flip side, if you're not in a crowd of people, just let them have it, because the majority of reports where there have been injuries is when they tried to stand up to them. I am really bad about just sticking cash in my pocket. And I do that for several reasons. I tell people, only pull out a very small amount so that nobody sees you with lots of cash. I use it in negotiating. I'll have less than $10 in my pocket. If there's something I'm negotiating that I want to buy, I'll say, I have $8. We take $8, and if I reach in my pocket and that's all I pull out, it has worked several times. And be very careful at ATMs. The second highest report were tourists getting money at ATMs, and this has been all over, from Europe through the Caribbean, in the Bahamas. It's probably in the United States too. But grab and run victims at ATMs have really suffered. Don't do that. You have a travel agent right here that will get you the local currency before you ever leave. Bahamian dollars are the same as US dollars. So I always tell my customers, take a stack of $50 bills Number one, so you could put $7 in this pocket and $12 in this pocket and stick a little here and there. I want $1 bills so that I can tip people because I don't like to handle my luggage much anymore. And there's just ways around without being so flashy. Go to banks. All countries have local banks you can walk into, and while it's a little intimidating because many of them have bars, they will not charge you a fee. Where if you go to an ATM outside of the United States, 9 out of 10 times it's going to have a fee from 3 to 5% or more. So just a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. I would go to the Bahamas. I would take Mom to the Bahamas in a month from now when the water's warmer. But I would be more cautious where I chose to stay. And if we went on a cruise, I would be more cautious about just jumping off and shopping on Bay Street myself, or, taking her off the beaten path. I may or may not would do that anymore. I'm Melinda Fargas. I own Action Travel. We're in downtown Mebane. I am your full service travel agent. I would love to help you. We have 2 cabins left on our Alaska trip for July 2nd. It is a Princess Cruise tour. So Princess Cruise Line, we're staying at the Princess Lodge in Fairbanks for 2 nights. We're staying at the Princess Lodge in Denali for 2 nights. We're taking one of the top 5 train trips in the world, which is from Denali down to Anchorage. And we get to go a little further. We're going to go all the way to the ship down to Whittier. Guys, you can do this with us for about $5,300. 12 days, airfare, rail. Oh, and that includes Princess Plus. That includes your beverages while you're on board the ship. It includes your gratuities. It includes specialty dining, Wi-Fi. What more could you want? Okay, I'm Melinda Fargas. Thanks for sticking in there with me. Sorry I went a little long tonight. Oh, I'm going to show you this. Okay, now new technology. I'm going to share the screen so that you can see the site in Greece. So right here at this temple, right next to it is the underground location. Here's the way that they've drawn it to have been in its heyday. Sorry, there is advertising there. So it's all of this that they have excavated right beside of this temple. And they didn't realize that it was there. And some of it, the tunnels are directly beneath the altar of that church. It's really pretty. Oops, that was one I could drew. So when you go to Rome or many places like that, you see just regular, ordinary people down in these holes with these paintbrushes, and they're just brushing off the residue of dirt or sand or whatever to reveal what they've uncovered. Between the main Parliament building in Rome and the Colosseum, you walk. Now it's a pedestrian only street. And on both sides of the street, you see excavations just like this. This is one of the pieces of art that they've found. And that's another one. This is how far they've gotten. I mean, you can really see the definition of a structure. And they're saying that this dates back into the 17th century. Artifacts. Well, I just had to show you because I thought that was super cool that after hundreds of years, now archaeologists are going to new and different places and finding all kinds of things we had no idea about. And my next one is for the Mesoamerican site in Mexico. And this is not a tremendous picture, but very near Mexico City, near an already Mayan temple, which is this. They have unearthed this. And see that hole right there? This was the entrance that they said missionaries sealed when missionaries came to Mexico many, many years ago. Let's see if there's other good pictures. Oh, this, see this gold? They said that some of the walls were covered with fool's gold, pyrite, and that when the sun hit it, that it just sparkled. So you think of the technology way, way back then. One of the things that was discovered that I won't open it up right this second, but was they have a an alien's body. Oh, here's what I was going to show you. I'm going to list this down there. The lost city found that nobody can explain. He's saying that because it's way out in the jungle. Okay, I know that you're bored with it. I think it's fascinating. I'll put the link to that video right under this on my YouTube channel. And please go like me there. We appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything extra. And if you subscribe, it lets you know when new ones are out there. Hey, Sherry Duraco. Hey, Lisa Thomas. I apologize that I had queued up those two other pieces of information and I was afraid to look at comments. I was afraid I wouldn't get back to it. Okay, guys, have a great one. And remember, without a travel agent, you are on your own. Ciao.